Hi and welcome to the Crossdressing Lifestyle channel. Now today's video has been inspired by requests from our subscribing sisters Wendy Young and Megan Hollands, as well as quite a few posts we've received on our Facebook page, all relating to false eyelashes, how to select them and more importantly how to apply them. So what I've done is select 3 sets of false eyelashes from the Poundland store, surprisingly at a cost of £1, my usual amazing shine lashes and a wonderful pair from a company called Pinky Goat, which are 3D silk lashes. They're very lush. So if you'd like to see how I get on, please join me after the break. So welcome back. Now what I think we need to do to start with is get all of our equipment ready and to hand. So what do we basically need for this little project here is a pair of very sharp scissors to trim the lashes should we need to do so. If you haven't got very sharp scissors like these, nail clippers are actually very good as well because they're quite precise. They don't tear the end of the lashes. Next, to help with the application, rather than just using your fingers to plot them on, which I always find a little bit more difficult, particularly if you've got quite large fingers like I have, a standard pair of straight tweezers is more than adequate for doing that. And finally, the most essential thing I think is the glue itself. Now a lot of these lashes that you may buy in a packet have their own glue, generally something a little bit like this, a little tube that you get that you can open up and obviously apply accordingly. I've found that once you open them up they're totally useless, they dry out very, very quickly, and the glue in these is not that strong, and that's one of the frustrating things when the glue doesn't start to stick, and that can wear your patience pretty thin. So what I use is more of the professional type of glue, and the household name really is Duo. Duo make quite a large range of eyelash glue. The glue itself is a water-based latex glue, very similar, in fact, if you read the instructions on the back of these, exactly the same as the good old Copydex. So this one I think costs somewhere around about £8 or £9.99, and this cost me £2.99 from a hardware store. And there is a lot more in this one than there is in this tube here. So that will be my first tip of the day. If you're using lashes an awful lot, I would actually go for a little can of, or a little tube, or whatever you want to call this, a container of Copydex. You will save yourself a fortune. So either of those glues, when they're applied, they actually dry actually transparent, so you don't see the glue at all, and it's quite easy to take the lashes off when it comes to the end of the evening. So let's get the first review, or the first stage, underway. So the first ones I want to have a little look at here are these Cheap and Cheerfuls from Poundland. They are £1 for a pair of lashes here. So we've got two lashes, or 2 designs here. So let's take that and have a little look. So we've got a top and a bottom set here, or 2 top sets, beg your pardon. Now the first thing I look for when I'm looking at any lashes is the actual strip width and how pliable that is. So that's really this bit here that attaches the lashes itself to this palette here, how thick that band is, because we want our lashes to be very, very pliable. It makes putting them on so much easier. Now I always take the lashes off from the outside of the palette, off like so, because as you can see there, it's actually frayed a little bit here, and it's likely that that's where you're going to damage it when you take it off. So if you take it off from the outside, you're probably going to cut them to length, so it won't be so obvious. So now I'm going to take this one here, and as you can see, or may not, you might be able to see a little bit better if I turn it to the other camera, that this is actually quite rigid. I mean, for only essentially what, 50p a pair, these lashes, you can't really expect that much. So what I'm going to do is to take the lash in the middle and offer it up to my eye and see if I need to trim them. So I'm just going to pop this into place here. Now they are a fraction too long, so I'm actually going to cut that little end off there. And that's why you need a very good sharp pair of scissors, because if they're quite blunt it ends up chewing the ends off and can be quite frustrating. So for applying the glue, you want to ensure that you get a healthy coating on the outside and the inside, and a liberal coating on the middle. So I'm just going to work on using this Duo glue here, and hopefully I've got a reasonably steady hand, and I'm just going to push a little bit of the glue up to the surface like that, and just very gently dab it all the way along this quite thick line here. Now I definitely want to make sure I keep it as light as possible. Now I've got quite a liberal amount there. I'm ensured I've got it on the inside and the outside. Now it is a case of practice, 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 and this is why it's always nice to start with a reasonable cheap pair of lashes, because you can keep practicing away and it doesn't cost you a fortune. So what we do is, or what I do is, I look down at a fairly high magnified mirror and I'm going to come down. So I'm going to actually come down on top of the lash and just aim for the root of my own natural lash. Now I want to make sure that I can get the inside of the lash reasonably close to the inside of my eye, but not too close, because sometimes if you get it too close and you squint quite heavily, or to protect your eye in a shock, and your eye goes inwards, the inside of this lash can actually get into your tear duct here and aggravate it, and your eye can start to water or weep. So let me just pop this one into position. So I'm going to take it down very gently and pop it and hold it just in the center. I've literally counted to 3 in my head, and then I'm going to pick it up again and apply the outside first on this particular pair in place. Again, count to about 5, and then pick the inside up. So I'm doing this in 3 motions. First of all, get it to the center to get it to a stick, then the outside, then the inside, and keep adjusting until you can get it to exactly where you want to get it. Now these lashes are quite thick and the band is quite difficult to bend into place. Now I generally take the tweezers and turn them over to the blunt end just to push down on the strip as much as I can to ensure that it's in position. And that's the basic technique for putting on any lashes, whether they're cheap or whether they're incredibly expensive. If you can come down on your lash, put it in the center, just hold it there for a couple of seconds and then lift either the inside or the outside into position, one after the other. So that's done. That's gone quite successful. And again, I'll go back to the other lash and just gently try and ease that off using the strip. Pull that all the way around. Ease it a little bit into shape. As you can't see, but it is quite thick here, and it's not that easy to move around. It's not that pliable either, but as I say, for just about, what is it, 25p a lash, I don't think that's bad at all. I'm just going to trim the edge a little bit to ensure it fits. And again, it's the same process. Hold the lash in the middle, take your glue and just do a light coat all the way along the lash line, paying particular attention to the inside and outside, and then just be patient for a couple of seconds, give it a bit of a wibble round if you want to. So it's the same process. Pick the lash up and drop it down on your eye. So you want to come down onto your eye. Look into I have a times 20 mirror here, which means that I get a pretty good vision of where I'm going to place the lashes. I have not put any mascara on at all. My lashes are natural at this moment in time, and I will blend the 2 lashes in as I go along. So I'm just popping that straight on top of mine, holding in the middle, counting to about 10. Release again, and then I'm going to pick the inside up this time and just pop it into place. And again, pick the outside of the lash and pop that into place. So once I'm happy that I've got them in place, I just need to pick this one up on the inside a little bit more. I'm going to turn my tweezers over and just prod it down a bit more. I was a little bit ambitious there, I went a little bit too quickly. So turn my tweezers over a bit and just pop them into place. I can use my fingers if I want to. So there we have the finished look on that one. I think for £1, or basically these two cost 50p, by the time I push the mascara in on these and blend them together, I think they're not bad value for money at all. They're quite impressive. Slightly too short for me, although I just took a little bit of the lash off just because I bent them a little bit. The density is quite good on these ones, quite lightweight. I think they're quite impressive for the price. So let's move on to my favourite ones, which is Amazing Shine. So moving on to the Amazing Shine range here, these are the lashes that I generally go to when I do any makeovers, generally because they are very, very flexible, they're very well manufactured, they're 100% human hair, and they are remarkably cheap, around about £2.99 to about £4 a pair. The only thing is you don't get the glue included in that price, but we've already covered that if we're using a duo or the copy decks. We've already got our glue to hand. So these ones here are the number 47s. They're quite dense, sort of singular row of lashes. I quite like these ones. Again, I take them off. I always look at any lashes really. These ones here, you can see that this length here is much shorter than this length here, and this would indicate to me that this is my left eye, because this is going to be the shorter sides that go into the inside of the eye. So again, just lift the lashes off very gently off the palette here. Now you can see that they are very, very flexible. You can wobble them about quite nicely, which means that they're very, very pliable and easy to put into place. They have their own sort of glue on them as well, but it's not quite enough in my opinion to be able to hold them in place. And also the strip on these ones is very, very thin, and like the first ones we had a look at from Poundland, they were quite thick. I think the band on that was probably about 0.5 millimeter. This one here is, I don't know, maybe an 1/8 of a millimeter or 0.5 millimeter, no, 1/4 millimeter, whatever, but it's much thinner. So what I do is, again, I would check it against my normal curvature of my eye just to make sure that I don't need to trim any of it off. So let me just check that now. Now on this range, it doesn't look as I need to. In fact, I know I don't. So what I'm going to do here is just place the tweezers again in the middle, and using the duo glue once again, I'm just going to do a very thin line of glue all the way along the strip. Again, making sure I can get the inside particularly, and all the way along the strip. Try not to rush this because we don't want to overload the strip with glue. Just paying particular attention, you do get some to the inside and the outside. Again, you only need to wait for a couple of seconds for it to get a little bit tacky. And once more, just come down on your eye here. Now, I was aiming for the center of my eye, so I'm going to come down on the center of the lash line here. Just pop that as tight as I can again to my natural lash line. Just hold it there for about 6 or 7 seconds, and I can let go. Again, I'm just going to pick it up from the outside because I generally find the outside a little bit easier, and hold it into position. And then pick up the inside. I'm actually going to use the tweezers just to crimp them together against my natural lash line, and turn over to the blunt end and just pop it along, just gently along the line until it's in place and you're confident. It is literally as simple as that. Again, just to repeat, I take the other lash just to check that I'm making sure that I'm getting the outside. This lash line is a bit longer here, so I'm going to pick that up, take it off the stand, bend it a little bit back into its natural sort of shape on your eye. Make sure there's no glue attached to the tweezers, because it can be very, very irritating when you go to release it and there's a bit of glue on there. It just sticks to the lashes. Hold it to the center again, and once more, just apply a thin, even coat all the way along the line if you can. just take this easy, just a little bit of gentle pressure on the glue tube. Right, so again I'm holding it in the center. I'm just going to dive down onto my left eye, aiming roughly for the middle again. I'm going to count to 10, release, and pick up the inside this time. It doesn't really matter which one you do, inside or outside, and hold it in position. And again, pick the outside and just encourage that onto the arc and in position. The mirror is key here. That you need a fairly strong magnifying mirror, really. Again, I'm just turning the tweezers over and just encouraging it to sit down a bit tighter to my natural lash line. Now I find these are very, very easy to apply. They're very, very sort of dense sort of lashes. They really define your eyes fantastically well. I think it gives you that extra bit of, I don't know, how would you say? It gives them an extra bit of pizzazz to your eyes. What we need now is just to be able to pop on some mascara. Again, looking upwards, just coat them so you can blend them in. It's important because all of the man-made false eyelashes are a dark black, whereas yours are a sort of off black. And if you're doing a lot of camera work, photography, particularly close up, you can see a shadow underneath if you don't blend them together. So that's the Amazing Shine range. The difference between those and the cheaper Poundland ones was quite simply they were a lot more pliable, a lot thinner on the base and easier to shape into place and pop them into place and move them around. So that's one thing I would definitely advise you to look at, is the actual base of the lashes. Just make sure it looks to be fairly pliable, not thick. Now finally, the last pair I'm going to use are these wonderful lashes here from a company called Pinky Goat. These are by far and away the most expensive ones I've got in, that I ever use. They're roughly around about $20 a pair, and even the boxes here, you can pop, you can hear the magnetic catch in these. These are 3D silk lashes, and they are really lush and very dense, and they certainly do make an impression. So I'm going to pop a pair of those on so you can see them and see what it's like to work with them. So let me take off these Amazing Shine ones, and all you do to take them off obviously is just grab hold of them with a pair of tweezers, or you put them off with your eyes if you want to. I mean with your fingers, not with your eyes, and just lift them off. It's as simple as that. That's how easy it is. So you don't need to be frightened of the glue, just in case you were worried the glue was going to take your lashes, your existing lashes out. They don't. So let's have a little look at these lashes here. These ones are quite fierce. I quite like these ones. These are very fashionable. They're very big impression. They're quite large in length and quite dense. So again, I'm just looking at the length of the lashes. This bit here looks to be shorter than this one here, so this would make it my right eye. So I'm just going to pop that one off and see what it's like. Comes off reasonably. Oh, it's quite on there. It's quite tough on there actually. Oh. Okay, looks like it was glued just on the ends here. I didn't do any damage to them. That's just good. The actual lashes themselves are actually quite thick. The band is quite thick and not that easy to apply, but I can see the workmanship that goes into those. They're quite sassy, to say the least. All right, so let's just put the glue along the lash line again. Just concentrating a little bit, making sure I get a thin coat all the way along the inside. Now I know I don't need to cut these ones because I've worn them before. They're just about the right length for me. So I'm going to pop that down again. I always start at the centre and just hold for about 10 seconds. And then release. And pick up, on this occasion I'm going to pick the inside up and just pop it down into place. And return to the outside. A final bit of a wiggle and just prod it into place. That's certainly stuck. Quite dramatic, that one, actually. And pick up its little other side. Hold it to center. This does dry nice and clear. You can also use the strip itself as a template if you want to line the outside of your, or the top of your eye a little bit as well. I find that quite helpful. Got a little bit of glue stuck on there. Just hold that in position. Release. Again, just turn my tweezers over a little bit, just to prod that into position. You can use your fingers as well, just to make sure you've got a nice contact all the way along. So you can see it's relatively, or it is a very easy to apply lashes. They do have a dramatic effect on your eye shape and depth as well. And I think they provide an extremely good optical illusion, because when you start looking at people's faces with lashes on, you have a tendency to start looking below the lashes to the rest of their face. So I think they're quite a nice sort of way of drawing the attention to where you want the eye to go, particularly the inside of the eye and down towards the cheek and the lips. So I hope you found that of assistance and help. Please do feel free to drop some comments down below. It's been a bit of a rush tutorial, but I do try to explain to everybody, it is all about practice, practice, practice. Have yourself a very good mirror. Some very good glue helps as well. And I would suggest maybe getting a range like the Amazing Shine or something like that, that are quite cheap. Get several pairs of those and just keep practicing. It is worth it in the end. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it of interest. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And until the next time, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.